Good evening. This is Jared from Resilient Living with my friend and co-host Ryan.
Hey, everybody.
Alrighty, so today I wanted to talk about money in all of its wonderful, horrible glory.
Just a tiny little topic, right?
Just a tiny one, which is funny because, so Meg, my wife, is she's the economist, she's the accountant, she's the banker, she's the financial guru. So I have to clear everything by her. Like, hey, am I understanding this correct? But it's one of those systems that we all have participated in for our whole lives. But sometimes we don't really spend a lot of time thinking about why it works the way it works and how we got here from what it used to be, which used to be very different. I mean, depending on how far back in time you want to go, and it's gone through cycles in every culture and every society where, yeah, we're at various different stages of, and we'll jump into that. But yeah, it's a very interesting research.
When you say we all participate in it, one of the things that makes me think of that or think of how that works is I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but like insurance actuaries, the people who try to figure out like all the different statistics.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
If
no, yeah,
Yeah, so if you basically just live your life how you're kind of expected to, they can pinpoint to pretty much within a week of when you would die as an average person, right? So
wow, that's
not
terrifying.
necessarily you exactly,
Sure.
but somebody who lives the way you do and how long your money will last, things like that. Those as an average can be like pinned down
Wow,
really, really precisely. And
interesting.
so when we just kind of don't think about our finances or aren't aware of what money is, how it works, um,
Yes,
you know, concepts like compounding interest, what the stock market actually is, all of these different things. Um, if we just kind of go along, it's like this path that's already been set for us. It's a road that's already set, and we're just walking along this road because it's the path of least resistance because we're not thinking about where it's actually leading to.
sure, sure, and that's really what I want to instill in our viewers and our friends, our community, is some confidence and understanding of how to, I won't say buck the system, but utilize the system to its full extent and be able to do well within and flourish in this environment that we're in this environment, so we might as well learn how to flourish in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wanted to say hi to Vic, who's in the chat.
Hey,
So
bro, good to see you, man. All right,
always
so
glad to have Vic along.
oh heck yeah. So I kind of wanted to do a high level overview of monetary systems and where they start out and how we get to a place like where we're at now, where we have a fiat based currency system, even through cryptos and whatnot. So if we go back to like total origins is barter. I have this, you have that, I want that, you want this, straight up trade. Freaking awesome, right? Um, I was actually just talking about bartering with a friend of mine, and he's really very good at working on cars. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, you understand that it takes you a half hour to do, it might take somebody else 6 hours to do. Now you have the opportunity to barter with them for something that is easy for them to do, but will be difficult for you because you don't have either the tools or the specialized knowledge or whatever. And you both get the good end of the stick. Like, there's no downside here. You both benefit because you both get the thing that you're not as good at done for you.
Right.
Like, bartering is really a truly elegant and wonderful system because it has the potential of benefiting everybody.
Yeah. Well, I've done that multiple times. I traded for beef once.
Oh yeah,
Somebody
sure.
had really great grass-fed beef in their freezer and they wanted a homestead consultation. So we just kind of figured out,
Perfect.
a value for value exchange as opposed to, here's my intermediary dollars
Yeah,
that I earned and paid taxes on to get taxed again on, right?
right.
So now
And that actually brings up a great point is that transitional phase where you have that intermediaries. So like let's say, okay, did you ever watch the show Raising Hope?
yes, yeah, I did. Been a
So there's
while
an
though.
episode called Burt Bucks, and um, it does such a wonderful job. So Burt is the father in the show, and is a pool cleaner. And so in this episode, he figures out bartering, and he's like, "Oh, this is amazing. If I want this, and so I'll just give them what I do for what I do, and we'll just trade." And then they figured out, well, wait a minute, what if I don't want what they have, but they want what I have? Like, okay, we need to have this intermediary, something. And like, well, what if we had this piece of paper that we could just trade? It stands for our work that we're
Mhm.
doing. And so they created money. And it's why it's called Burt Bucks. And then I had my kids watch this episode because it does such a good job of explaining inflation, because they started just printing off Burt Bucks, and they
Yep.
flooded their own system, and we'll get into that. But it's a good episode. I don't recommend just jumping into the show and watching just that episode, because there's so many jokes you won't understand unless you understand that show. But it's a good episode.
Yeah. I actually think they got that idea from something called Berkshares, which were
Okay.
a Berkshire County, Massachusetts local currency.
Oh,
So it
that's
was a real
funny.
thing. Yeah. Um,
Oh,
there was
that's
another
good.
currency, I believe, also in Massachusetts that was more well known. Can't remember the name of, but um, if you ever read the designer's manual by Bill Mullison for permaculture,
Yeah.
I believe it's his 14th chapter. So I think it's the final chapter or somewhere at the end. He talks about something he calls LETs, which is a local something or other currency. So
Okay.
basically it's this idea of some medium of exchange, because maybe you have beef and I don't want beef, I want
Right.
eggs. And
Yeah.
I've got microphones and you don't want microphones. Then we have this medium of exchange. So it's been thought of, it's been done, and it's actually been pretty successful.
Sure.
And not to jump ahead, but there's some solutions to this with with some modern technology that we have as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
So
so that's really the natural, transition for a barter system is a commodities-based system where you use rice and grains, was a, primary one, or even into precious metals. And then through the commodities, let's say, and Ryan, we were talking right before the show, like, let's say you had grain. Well, your grain has intrinsic value to it because of the effort it took to grain, to raise it, harvest it, and all that. But it's susceptible to molds. It's susceptible to mice. It has all these inherent instabilities. So the ones that rose to the top were precious metals because of their physical, tangible things that are not, aside from being lost or stolen, they don't just go away. They don't devalue. They're a representation of physical labor and work.
right.
Um, and so we had these commodities, and so early, civilizations, they based everything on commodities. And you're even mentioning ancient Egypt, right?
Yes. Yeah, ancient Egypt, of course, we don't really know, but it appears that they're one of the first societies to use grain bills as a means of, so they'd write bills that were for the grain. And I believe there was even some examples of runs on grain where they
Ah,
wrote more bills than they had grain. Um, don't quote me on that. It's been a long time since I've dug into that, but
that's
yeah, ancient
wild.
Egypt seems to be one of the first societies to really use this paper-based system that then gave this paper represents so much grain.
Yeah, right. That's really cool, and really funny that it's so similar to today, where they overprint and devalue their own systems and create instabilities. So Yeah, so we jumped in. Oh, penny candy. Oh, mom, that's yes. Oh, that brings back so many memories.
Yeah,
Um,
what happened to that is called inflation, and we'll get to that.
and we will get to that. Yes, exactly. Um, if you haven't read Whatever Happened to Penny Candy, it is a great book.
I've never heard of that.
I highly recommend it. Your
Okay.
kids actually, it'll be good for your kids.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so we jumped into metals just because of they're inherently stable. They have intrinsic value. They're easily segmented, so you can have a coin that is worth a certain amount. Well, a quarter of that's worth a quarter of that. It's, but then you have counterfeiters and you have varying dimensions, varying purities. So then we jump into creating standards where it's going to be gold. If it's gold, it needs to be this quality, it needs to be this size, whatever. And so our all these cultures have over time developed specifications for all of their commodity based, which gold or silver based systems, which are great, except that they're completely um finitely contained within, like, this is how much gold we've got, like, that's it.
Yep.
And that
The
has to
interesting
represent
thing,
all work. All
right.
work.
The interesting thing is, I think your point in that is that it becomes deflationary.
Yeah.
Um, but here's the other thing is it becomes deflationary, it becomes more profitable for those who are mining for the gold or silver. So
Yes,
there
it does.
is some built-in or inherent balance in it.
Yep.
But if your economic system is based on um, always growing or always getting bigger, the pie always getting bigger,
Mhm.
um, yeah, hard metals can be a major issue to that.
Well, and if there's any rapid cost occurrence, war being
Mhm.
the big driver there. Whenever you have any kind of a huge outlay that the nation, the area, the commodity, or whatever that market is, has to bear, there's not enough flexibility within that market to be able to bear that.
Right.
Um, so then we transition into, we'll take the intermediary step where we have gold backed, you know, fiat, but
Currencies.
not quite
Mhm.
fiat currencies. Um, and then to ease that burden, and then you're like, okay, well, we have to completely separate because we have entirely too much overhead, we have entirely too much need for a more flexible system. Enter full fiat currency, enter 1971 nixing convertibility and the full separation away from the gold standard, and the dollar is now a system that is managed. The value is set by a institution and not backed by any specific physical anything,
Correct.
which is wild in and of itself, that we have something that carries the worth of everything in the the known world, that is backed by literally nothing but a hope and a dream.
Yeah. And in one sense, if you think about it, the dollar is backed by energy, kind of.
Okay,
So
I see it a little different, but okay, sure.
here's my example or thought on it. Um, our military runs on
They
energy.
Oh, okay,
Every single
sure.
thing that our military does is energy based. Our military is essentially what backs the dollar because if we didn't have the military throughout the entire world,
Okay.
nobody would be compelled to use our dollar. The same for being on the petrodollar, which essentially came right after Nixon closed the gold
Yes.
window.
It was
And
the
so,
separation. That's where we
yeah,
ended up. Yeah.
yeah, and
I s
so,
I see the military as, he's the bully on the playground that you wanna be friends with so that you don't get beat up,
mhm,
and everybody has to if you just align yourself with him, you're good. So, we having the biggest military, everybody just wants to use the dollar because you don't wanna piss off the guys that have the nukes.
right, yeah, or the most nukes, or yeah, whatever it is, the most military bases throughout the world.
Yes. By
So
leaps and bounds more.
yeah, and different people have different definitions of money because somebody may say that currency or fiat is not money. It's a
Yes.
fiat
It's
currency,
fiat.
right?
Yeah.
And so the way I I typically define money as a store of energy.
It has
So,
potential, so
mhm,
yes.
yep.
I
It's
I
taking
it
it.
really helped me thinking of it in matter of time as opposed
Mhm.
to it because, and this may derail your thoughts, so
No,
continue.
go for it.
Well, because I it's like, "Oh, well, that's only $5." It's like, "Well, yeah, but, how much is my time worth? Is it
Mhm.
worth that amount of my time? I'm gonna have to work that much more in order to buy that thing or to have that thing. Is that experience or is that object that has no permanence, is that really worth that much of my time?"
Yeah. Is that Snicker bar worth, 20 minutes of
I'd
my
say
life?
that one's a twofer because that one, like, is gonna cost you your time, but then you have the added, unbenefit, debenefit, I don't know how you
Yeah.
wanna say that, penalty of, reduced everything.
Mhm.
Like, my life is worse off because of it. Like, yes,
Yeah.
I have that momentary, rush of sugars and all the happy chemicals, all that, but then after that, now I have health issues and I have weight issues, which means I have joint issues and I have respiratory issues because, and I've struggled with my, body my whole life. I've fluctuated wildly. And yeah, it takes a toll on you like badly.
Yeah. Well, and you'll notice that I use Snickers instead of, Oreos as my bad guy today
Why is that?
because I got beat up on by you and, Rocky Pines for mentioning Oreos is a bad thing.
Hey, we all have to have our vice, right?
Yeah. And I do like Snickers. They are good. I
Snickers
don't
are.
buy them anymore, but I they're good. I
There's a
used to
lot
like
of things
Oreos a
that
lot too.
I don't buy anymore. So anyway, so now we're into this whole fiat currency thing. So now we have this thing. It's very flexible. It's great for that aspect. It's definitely easier to manage, except that it has to be managed because you can't just let that one run because the market doesn't know what to do with it. So you have to set values. You have to monitor them as enter our central banking system, which isn't r- really a bank. It's a bunch of thugs that get to tell all the banks what to do,
Well, they call it the Federal Reserve, right?
which is not.
It's neither federal nor reserve. It's a private institution that
It,
holds nothing.
right. Yeah. Again,
Um,
supposed to be gold, but no.
so the Federal Reserve has something, or just really anything within the fiat monetary system, because they have to create money. There's this concept of something called the Cantillon effect.
Okay.
And the Cantillon effect, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more later, just in how it plays out. But it's the idea that you have an uneven distribution of who gets access to the newly minted money.
Sure.
So whoever is closest to, the printing press, which is not a printing press, um, gets access to that money for essentially nothing or
Mm,
very, very little. So the Federal Reserve rate might be 0%, in some cases, even negative percent. But it's
ah,
not like you can go out and get a home loan at 0%
no.
because you're not the person close to the printing press.
Yeah, so it's just like in business where we have a markup for, every layer that you go from the producer all the way down to the retailer, there's a markup there.
Mhm. Yep. And so now, the private, what'd you call them, thugs? The Fed can
Yes,
now print money,
right.
and it goes to whoever is their favorite, which might even be themselves because,
Sure.
like Chase Manhattan is one of the 6 owners of the Fed. And when they print money and give a bailout or whatever else, it goes
Guess who gets
oftentimes
it?
goes to them. Yeah. And so then they get to dole it out to somebody else and multiply, when, I'm sure you're going to get to this. So sorry for stepping on toes, but when it
You're good.
comes to, um, what is it? Monetary or fiscal, I'm sorry. The, the dividing of currency. You know what? Go ahead. I'll think of the term and come
You're
back
good.
to it.
Okay, so from having, this banking system that we've created to distribute the fiat currency, we needed it, to be more convenient, right? because it's cumbersome to have to go to the bank to get your cash. And so enter the electronic age, since that we're now in the electronic age. Like, hey, cool, we can electronically access our currencies. So we have electronic payment systems, we have ACHs, we have all of this infrastructure that we've designed and built to be able to access and utilize our fiat currency. Um, do we want to talk about CBDCs?
Sure. And so, quickly, my point
Yes.
was about fractional reserve currency.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yep.
the idea that, okay, let's say Chase Manhattan just at the Fed printed off some money, gave it to themselves.
Right.
They've got $100,000 to work with, which obviously it's going to be in the hundreds of billions, but easy numbers, right?
Easy numbers. Yeah.
They can now go and create home loans, which they could do with zero, but let's say they create home loans with that money as a partial backing to whatever loan they're giving out.
Yep.
But the rest of that loan, 80, 90 plus percent, actually it's 0%, like 100% now, but is doesn't exist. The money didn't exist until they said it existed for the
Yep.
loan. So your home loan, the reason why traditionally you put 20% down is because they had to have 20% backing,
It covers their costs.
yeah, to give the rest of the money to print it out of thin air, essentially. And so now Chase
Mhm.
Manhattan, if it's them, can use that money to then print 90 times more than what they
Yep.
would have otherwise had.
Yep. Yeah, because the bank, any bank, only has to have $1 for every $10 in their system. They only have
Loaned
to
out, yeah.
they have to maintain. So that allows them to distribute each one of those 9 more times and do the same thing all over again.
Mhm. Yeah, and interestingly, we're doing that in another form with silver.
Mhm.
So with something called
Great.
rehypothecation. So if people
Yeah,
want to see why, at least partially why the silver market, why it's so inexpensive to buy silver compared to what you would expect it to be historically, at
right.
least against certain other things.
Yeah, in
Um,
comparison to other, yeah,
yeah.
it's weird.
And that's not a like a recommendation to go and buy because they could keep doing this for decades. But using something called rehypothecation, basically you can borrow silver out, 100 times and loan it, even though like each person in the string is loaned silver, there's
It's
only
not.
one.
There isn't enough silver in the world to cover all this the silver scripts or whatever they call them, certificates, whatever the
Mhm. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Not even close, because I could buy an ounce of silver, loan it out to you, and
Mhm.
then you could rehypothecate it, and you can do that, I think it's like 100 times down the chain.
Sure.
And so now you've got 1 ounce of silver, but
That's being
silver is inflated essentially or devalued because you've got,
yes.
this rehypothecation happening over and over and over
Coming
again.
back to it being a fiat currency, even though it's
Correct.
silver, right? Yeah,
Yep.
what was it? I was just looking it up. So yeah, silver spot is at almost 51 an ounce. Gosh, gold is over 4 grand. Oh my gosh. Wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild. So yeah, so we've got the electronic payment systems, and then actually I want to jump to crypto because then we can jump
Mhm.
back to CBDCs. So we have the centralized banking system, right? People don't necessarily trust, and this is really what it comes down to is trust. Even going back to the old silver and gold standard, if you didn't trust that the gold was real, that it was actually physically 100% gold and it was the physical size it was supposed to be, you had no trust in it. Well, the same thing has happened to our banking system. We have a lot of people who have lost trust in that banking system, and so they want something that is decentralized. Enter cryptocurrencies where everything is on public ledger. Nobody can get away with anything, which on its surface sounds great. I have issues with it though.
Yeah. There's certainly some concerns as well.
Well, anything that's tied to a technology has inherent limitations of access. I don't, okay, and I was doing crypto mining like back in the day. I mined Ethereum, because back when it was still Ethereum, before Ethereum 2, and I could have my own mining rigs for that. And I did, and I converted to Bit, and I sold it, and I did a lot of crypto stuff. But the second I stopped and thought about it, I was like, wait, even if I put this in cold storage, even if I had a physical drive that held this thing, if I don't have a way of plugging it into something, if I don't have that infrastructure for it to recognize the value of this, it has no value.
Correct.
No, 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 thank you. I don't know. If
Yeah.
somebody can limit my access to it or just shut it off, like, no, no, I would rather have something physically tangible in my hand or, no.
So I have 2 approaches to this,
Yeah,
where what you're saying is absolutely true. Let's say we've got grid down or internet down or something or
yeah,
other down.
sure.
You won't be able to access your crypto. And between when the grid goes down and when you have some type of power access or internet access again, that value may have dropped to essentially nothing.
Nothing. Yeah,
So you've got that scenario where something like junk silver, that's an actual silver coin that has a recognized value,
right.
can be really, really useful for trade, barter, well, purchasing
Yeah.
power. But let's say you've actually got some other situation where you're needing to flee a location
Mm,
and you've memorized 12 words and they're in your head. You can
sure.
stop by, you know, the 7-Eleven on the other side of the border and pick up a smartphone, install an app, and have all your money back.
Yep.
So
Versus carrying physical heavy gold or silver. Yeah.
yep, that could get
Yeah.
easily confiscated by whoever, border guards, uh,
Ruffians.
whatever, ruffians, the police,
Yeah.
um,
Whomever. Yeah.
because it's what is it, civil asset forfeiture? If you're found with a whole
Yep.
bunch of silver in your car, they can just take it because they want to. No probable cause. And they're not gonna get the 12 words that are in
Agreed.
your head, right?
Yep.
So each has their place in my book, but what I would also say is I think that there's a difference to me between cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So
Oh,
basically, every cryptocurrency is built off of Ethereum, with
yep.
the exception of Bitcoin.
Yep.
And even Ethereum has certain things. They're an actual organization that can go in and change code and monkey with things.
Sure.
And basically, every other cryptocurrency can print on demand. There's really nothing special or unique about it. Whereas Bitcoin is effectively immutable. And so, if you're going to deal with cryptocurrencies, there's some reason potentially to work with general cryptocurrencies. But I personally think that Bitcoin is the one that I would use as an actual s- portable store of value, if
Mm,
if that was your intention for it.
sure. Sure.
So, but just my personal belief. There's a lot of different beliefs on that.
Oh, yeah. 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 Well, so yeah, so we have this decentralized system, but then we have the government stepping in and going, hold on, we can help out with that. We can be, you're in between where you'll have access to it through us, where you have a digital dollar. Don't do that. Like, that's just asking, like, I don't trust the government anyway. I'm not even talking from a conspiratorial side.
Mhm,
I'm saying, does anyone actually truly believe that the government is like 100% in your corner on anything?
mhm.
Like, really? Like, I'm sorry. I was military. I've been to a VA hospital. Government controlled healthcare is not a good thing.
Right. Well, and yeah, outside of any conspiratorial things, because there's some very easily provable things. Just understanding what the iron law of bureaucracy is, that once an entity gets to a certain size, it essentially becomes its own entity. And even those working within it are going to keep pushing for that thing to continue as it is
Yeah. It will
or
exist
become
to
more
to
powerful,
exist.
right? For the purpose of existing.
Yep.
So, even if you trusted that certain people in the government were for your good,
Oh yeah.
there's the bureaucracy behind the scenes doesn't turn over.
Right, because yeah, you're right. Because there are people in the government that I actually do trust that they are on my side. it's the government I don't trust because it's not that person. It's
Right.
bigger than that person. It's the machine that is at work, and the machine cannot have everybody's best in mind, so therefore cannot really have anybody's best in mind.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I sat with Thomas Massey for like an hour where he didn't
Nice.
know me from anyone else. There's
That's
nobody else
awesome.
there. He was explaining all the intricacies of his Klux capacitor and how he invented it and all the different
That's
parts within the
amazing.
circuit board.
Yes,
Like, why? Because he actually, he's a genuinely decent
he
person.
is. He truly
Um,
is.
and so, there's that oddball like that occasionally who's in government who actually wants to help people, but that's not the government, that's a person.
Yep, absolutely. So where do we go from here, I guess is the question. What is next after, so if we don't have, full confidence in crypto, we don't have full confidence in fiat, we don't have full confidence in gold and silver because they have inherent flaws, they're really, I mean, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, that there is no perfect solution in any regard to any question. There's always exceptions, there's always caveats, there's always problems. What are we willing to accept as far as the problems? What works well within this system that we're bound into? So where do we draw that line? Where do we step off?
Yeah, that's the Thomas Sowell quote, "There are no solutions, there are only trade-offs."
Yep.
And so, one of the things, the title of this video well, at least on my channel, is I'm sorry, it is, what are we parallel
Parallel,
economies, there we go.
yep.
So this is a lot of people get the idea, I think, of parallel economies as being this economy that's totally separate, and you can kind of move over to that economy, and we'll build this thing outside of the system and not have to interact with the system. And that's not realistic. I think of a parallel economy as being an economy that you build up that is running alongside and with, so that when something strikes, when something goes wrong, or just in general life for living healthier, we have these options and we can kind of move more and more towards that.
Right.
But you're never going to be, you can't not pay your property taxes if
Yeah.
you want
Right.
somewhere to live, right? And so we're forced by means of the system that we live under to function within it, at least to some extent,
Yep.
so that we can live and not go to club fed or not be, kicked off of our land, or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm trying to think of some of the what happened before Waco. It was right before Waco. There was some Ruby Ridge.
Ruby Ridge. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We don't want to be Ruby
Dog shot.
Ridged. Yep.
Yeah. And legitimately. And this is kind of the whole point of all this whole conversation is community.
Mhm.
Amazing that it comes back to community all the time. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's intentional. Is when we have these communities of people who have skills, it's not even so much a formal bartering. And I think Rocky, said something about it. Not an expectation or predicament, it's just natural. Is we take care of each other. I'm good at mechanical things. I like working on machines and I like fixing them. So it is natural for me. If you had, hey dude, my transmission blew on my truck. Okay, cool. Bring it over. Let's figure out how to gank that sucker out and let's figure out what's wrong with it. Let's fix it. Like, let's do
Yeah.
it. Like, I don't care.
Well, and on
It's
that
fun for
point
me.
that it's just natural, it's so true because we we've been taught to live in a very unnatural way,
Yes. We have
right?
disassociated our time, our efforts, our abilities away from those inherent things, and we correlate them with a piece of paper?
Mhm.
Like, why? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, especially pieces of paper with things like this on them. I don't know. That won't focus, will it? Yeah.
Right?
Like,
All-seeing eye.
yeah. What in the world is that doing on our currency?
That's a whole wild hole that we could we're yeah,
It's a
that's
question, not an answer.
it is. It's a So
So
yeah, so we're building this parallel system alongside. Yes, we're still, we have the dollar. We do. We work in this, and this. I still have to go and fill up my tank with gas or diesel, so I still need dollars. I still have to pay my taxes. I still need dollars. But in that, we can still start growing our own produce,
mhm.
or making our own, growing our own herbs, and starting taking care of and taking ownership of our health. We can learn how to hunt and trap. We can right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was Bill Mollison who said the single most insurrectionist thing you can do, or something along those lines, was to grow a garden.
Grow garden, yes. I
Mhm.
love it. It's so
Yeah,
simple, but it is so true, because when they can't control us because we have our needs taken care of. No, it's not going to be the same. No, I'm not going to be all fat and sassy if I have to grow my own food, but I can do it, and I'll survive. I'll make it. And I've got friends who also can do it, and we can work it out together, and we'll figure it out. We become ungovernable. And that's really the ultimate goal, is not to be governed, to be enough of a threat to the government that they stay in line, because they know that they can't control me. They can't tell me what to do. It's by the consent of the governed.
right. Yeah, and so many people think about, like, oh, what if we have another 1776? And it's like, well, why don't we all just back ourselves out of this system as much as we can, because the system is set up specifically to create control and
Yeah.
create um yeah, levers that can be pulled so that we're forced in one way or another as a society. And the more people who choose to opt out, even in little ways, start to
Yes.
create a pathway that allows them to opt out in bigger ways. So you might be, you're walking down that like I talked about earlier, where your path is set out for you essentially from the day you're born to the day you die,
You're
and
right.
actuaries can predict it with incredible accuracy. But what happens when you step off of that interstate and onto a side road? And then what happens when you step off of that side road onto a dirt road? And what happens when you step off of that into the wilderness? And we can keep doing that and just sequentially making little steps forward towards towards a life that's worth living,
Yeah.
instead of that path of concrete until we keel over dead at the number of miles that we're estimated to make it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. That's not living. That's not life.
no, it reminds me of a quote that Wendell Berry. Why don't you? Can you tell me a little bit
Mm.
more about getting off the tracks? And I'm going to look up this Wendell Berry quote because I think it's really, really good.
Well, yeah. I mean, and there's so many different ways, and the worst takeaway from this that I can imagine is somebody going out and just spending all of their money buying all of the things so that they're off grid or whatever. That's not at all what we're trying to say. We're not saying, throw it all in the trash and just, go live in the woods. It's the incremental, it's the little things.
Mhm.
It's just do one thing, whether that's just grow an herb garden, and just take care of your own herbs. It's something you use in your kitchen, but not necessarily all the time, and something
Yeah.
that's pretty easy to do is just grow your own herbs.
Learn how to grow something,
Yeah.
start to build your soil so that if you need to, you can ramp it up in a
Well,
year or two.
and even if you're living in an apartment in the middle of a city,
Mhm.
you can get, something to sit on your windowsill and grow some herbs. It's you have limitations. We understand that. But you can do something.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
creates that
we're growing
separation. Yeah.
yeah, we're growing basil in the house right now, and,
Yeah.
like, just the smell of fresh basil
It's
in the
amazing.
winter when you don't have those fresh herb smells,
Right.
it's amazing, it's refreshing. So, absolutely, and here's the quote I was thinking of from Wendell Berry.
Hmm.
Um, he says, "As soon as the generals and the politicians can predict the movements of your mind, lose it." And
Lose it. I like that.
They cut it off here, and the rest of that quote is, unfortunately, the search engine didn't pull it up, so sorry. The rest of that quote is, "Lose it and leave it as a sign, basically directing them the wrong way." So, I love that quote. I know people might think of it as, "Oh, you're losing your mind." Well, it's no. According to them, you're
Yeah.
losing your mind. According to those who seek to control, you've lost your mind because you don't follow those control mechanisms.
Yeah, because it makes no sense. Why would you give up this nicety in order to like, why would you give that up? Well, it's because I wanna actually be free.
Right.
I wanna live a free life. I wanna take care of myself. I wanna live well. And I wanna come to the end of my life, screeching, sliding sideways, going, "Oh, what a ride."
Right. Well, and as Christians, as believers, we should be doing something that makes a difference in the world,
Yeah, we were
right?
not called to normalcy.
Yeah, there's nothing like things
Normalcy.
we shouldn't be right called to more normalcy, whatever it is.
Mhm.
We shouldn't be sitting around just following whatever path is made for us. We should be out making waves. We should be out showing people the love of Christ,
Yeah,
showing
which is
people,
radical, is
yeah.
fundamentally radical.
Well, and when we talk about control, the interesting thing to me there is control is something that I only ever see in scripture in a positive light as self-control,
Self-control,
right?
exactly.
Every other form of control is essentially equated to witchcraft.
Yeah,
So when you're trying to control others, you know, that's that's what that is. And that's what these people are doing from top levels, whether it's just some thing that happens because of bureaucracy, or if it's people who are, um, who seek that out intentionally.
sure. Well, and, I was talking to my son about that. We were talking about freedom, and I'm like, you have to understand that freedom is secondary to personal responsibility. If you do not take the responsibility, you do not get the freedom. It doesn't work.
Correct. Yep. So here's the rest of that quote. I'm going to
Yeah.
keep coming back to it. As soon as the generals and the politicos can predict the movements of your mind, lose it. Leave it as a sign to mark the false trail, the way you didn't go. Be like the fox who makes more tracks than necessary, some in the wrong direction. Uh, yeah,
Practice
practice
resurrection.
resurrection. So I find it fascinating. I really like that quote, and a lot of other stuff from Wendell Berry is really interesting as
Sure.
well.
Hmm. So, what are some other ways that we can incrementally remove ourselves from that system where we're no longer bound by the same constraints as a fiat, based system?
Yeah. Well, one of the things we've talked about before is this idea of like critical infrastructure solar.
Yes,
So sounds disconnected at first, but what you're doing is you're pulling some of the most important things off of the grid and you're putting it on under your own control, under your
mhm,
own means of production. So you don't have to produce some huge amount of power. And in fact, I think the way that we're set up to live on large amounts of power from the grid is part of the control system.
it is. Absolutely
So
is.
if we can set ourselves up so that if power goes out forever, we're still okay. Might not be quite as comfortable, but we're still okay. That's a huge step towards, even though it's fairly small and fairly inexpensive, it's a huge step towards that stepping away from the system.
Absolutely. One of the things that I have lots of wonderful conversations with my son. That and it was become comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Because if we can be comfortable with being uncomfortable, we can endure almost it's amazing what we can endure. It's amazing what we can overcome when we're not constrained by what we presuppose life should be like, what we presuppose, like, oh, I should be able to wake up in the morning in a nice comfy bed and have, my coffee ready for me. And I should have, when that goes out the window, you have a lot of life that you can live.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's not gonna be necessarily fun, but it can be better.
right. Yeah, absolutely, and I think we also have a tendency to look back and complain about something that happened
Yeah.
instead of looking forward towards what the next thing is.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Well, yeah, because
um,
those things can set us up so, wonderfully for the next thing. It's like, "Oh, yeah, I've already endured that, and so I know I can do this next thing that I never would have
right.
even attempted previously because I never could have considered that I was capable of it."
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So another small way you can walk away from the system or start to make this parallel economy alongside the existing one is to know your farmer.
Yes, I loved yeah, I saw that in your notes. I was like, "Yes,
Yeah.
please yes."
So it's great to work with people like John at Farmer's Storehouse
Yeah,
or, West Side Grocer over in Cookville. Like these people are awesome. They're helping procure and give a marketplace to these farmers.
right?
But you know what you can do? Look
Go
at
to
the
the
meat
farmer,
package. Who did it come from? Go to
right?
them directly, not to cut out these people who are doing good work,
No.
but to be able to if maybe I buy half a cow once a year from this farmer, and when I need to fill in, I go and buy some meat from West Side Grocery.
Yeah,
It's more expensive to buy it from the grocer because they have to put a markup on it. It makes sense. Um, but now if I know my farmer who I'm buying from, if something really goes wrong, is he going to sell to, some Tom, Dick, or Jane who walks off the street and says, "Hey, can I buy a cow?" No, of
mhm,
course not. He's gonna sell to the people that he knows that he's done business
yes.
with, who always pay, who always thank him, who always show up for the product when it's supposed to be available. The people he's already known and vetted, or she or whatever,
Yeah,
they're going to call those people first to say, "Hey, I've got a cow that I need to process. Do you want some?"
yeah,
You're gonna be the first person they're gonna call,
right,
or at least on that list, instead of putting a sign out at the road for whoever's wandering by.
right. Yeah, no kidding.
So, and on that same note, know your butcher. You
Right?
know
Yeah, the next tier down. Yeah, so we start with that farmer, then we go to down to the butcher.
Mhm. And, little life hack, butchers can give away things like bones if you don't say they're for human consumption.
Right? My
So, let's
dog
say that
eats bones.
yeah, I've done this before and it was legitimate. We actually used it for this, but Um, my mom for a while ran a shelter in Trousdale County, and so
Mm,
I went to a local butcher and said, "Do you have extra bones?" Because I know he throws them away. "Do you have extra bones that we could use for the shelter?
awesome.
Give the dog something interesting to chew on and keep busy." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Sure. Here's a giant bag." Actually, it wasn't a bag. It was like 2 giant boxes.
Oh, gee.
Do you know how long that would keep you going on like bone broth if you
Oh,
needed to?
the marrow and that would be amazing.
Right.
Render that sucker down. Oh, yeah.
Yep. In fat, oftentimes fat gets thrown
Yeah.
away because it's not worth the time to render it down. So,
Yep.
know your butcher and maybe you could be getting lard for next to
Right.
nothing, render it down yourself. So not only
Pemmican. Making pemmican.
that's right. Not only are you getting this amazing product for now that's super healthy, I mean, I can't tell you the number of uses I have for lard.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
right.
And so not only are you getting this amazing product now, but you're also building a relationship with somebody who's going to be that next line of, help, or maybe they've got extra meat from some source or something that's going on where they're going to call you and say, "Hey, we've got this extra. I know you're not going to rat me out for selling it.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Here, do you want some?" So, what about you? What's a step that you can think of to get in these parallel systems?
Well, and I was gonna actually talk about the, critical solar 'cause, um, I think he called you. A friend of mine stopped in the shop and he was talking about you wanting to get set up with a solar setup. I'm like, well, like the easiest way you can do this is just let's just create a sub panel of all your critical devices and just
Mhm.
power that. And then it pays for itself because you're actually running it. Then if something happened, because that's what he's like, well, what if something happens? Like I need to have this set up so that I can just use it. I'm like, well, if you do that, because I know lots of people who like, oh yeah, I've got solar panels and batteries. They're in the garage. They're dead. I'm sorry, but
Mhm.
they're dead. Like the rats probably chewed through the the solar panel, the battery hasn't been cycled in, 3 years since you bought it, it ain't gonna come back. Like, you're gonna go to use it and it's not going to be functional. You
Yep.
need to use this stuff on a day-to-day basis, and why not? It's gonna pay for itself.
It's like leaving gas in your generator.
Ugh,
Yeah.
yes. I've had that
Um,
conversation many
yeah,
times.
and this is maybe a little bit of a sidebar, but one of the things that really irks me is people trying to get prepared and getting like whole home generators on a propane tank.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, let's do the math.
Right?
Even if all you're running is your refrigerator, your generator is giant. It's still going to burn through gas, even if you run
Yeah.
nothing on it.
Even if you're only running 20%, it's still
Yeah.
burning.
So you've got two giant propane pigs in your yard, and you're going to be really living it up for like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
And then what?
Yeah, and then what? And so I'm a big fan of things like critical load solar.
Mhm.
That's very attainable for most people.
Yep. Well,
Small
and you
inverter
can tie
generators.
in you can tie in a traditional gas burner, propane burner, diesel, whatever, into that same system. Just have it
Yep.
running on solar, and then, "Hey, look, it's a cloudy day," or, "I got a bunch of snow, and I don't really wanna dust off my panels." Okay,
Mhm.
fire up the generator, let it run. That's fine.
Well, and here's my solution to that is get a little suitcase inverter generator.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Some of them you can get as dual fuel, so you can
Yeah,
run it on propane. One of
which is
those
awesome.
little inverter
Do that.
generators, like a 1800 watt one, will run like on a 500-gallon pig will run just about it'll run for a very long time.
Ever.
And if
Yes.
you're only running it to charge up your batteries on a cloudy day on your critical load solar
Yep.
system, I mean, you're talking years and years and years because propane doesn't go bad. The
Right.
generator's not gonna get gummed up because you're using propane, and you're
Yep.
just using it to top off the batteries, once every couple of weeks. You're golden for years as opposed to, I got 2 weeks of living in frigid AC or,
Right.
nice heat, and, now I've got nothing. So, that's an aside, but it's how you think about how you're getting off these systems, and so many people they wanna keep their creature comforts 100% and be 100% off the grid, and it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And, kinda to Vic's point here, that we've been conditioned, they want everyone to have a cell phone. They want everyone to have everything. They want everybody to crave the latest and greatest because that is control.
Mhm,
When we're fighting each other for access to all of the things, we're not paying attention to our health. We're not paying attention to the environment. We're not paying attention to all of the things that actually do truly matter. Um, they're just controlling us, and that's what we're trying to fight against. We're saying no. We're taking back control. We're going to make what we need to live the life that we want to live. We're going to live maybe a little bit uncomfortably, um, but that's okay. We're okay. We're willing to accept that consequence to our actions, and we're going to, instead of fighting for, those scraps that they want to give us, we're actually going to work with our neighbors. We're going to, stand side by side and build a community that takes care of itself and that it supports itself. And yeah, no,
but Jared, who's they though? Have
that
you ever
it's
heard that?
oh yes,
That's you're aware of the Kanye
yes.
debacle? Yes.
Oh,
Who's they
I
though?
watched it live. It was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. For those who don't know, Kanye West, basically at the end of his any credibility left, flipped out and started yelling, "Who's they though?" When people were referring to they. So Jared
That
said
was
they like 3 times, and I just wanted to throw that in there.
that was on Timcast.
Mhm.
That was a wild night. He like walked off, like he left Tim, like just stood up and walked out. I'm like, well, he's done. Um,
It's
yeah,
not
that
an
was awesome.
unreasonable point, except what I think he was trying to get at might have been. So,
Yeah. But I mean, so yeah, so we know our farmers, we know
Mhm,
the butchers, we know. I love that you included know your sheriff. Get to know your sheriff.
mhm.
My sheriff, Van Buren County. Shout out to Brock. That man is an amazing man. Like, he's come into the shop. We just sit down and talk. I've sat down with him up at the American Legion on a couple of occasions, and we just talk. And he's just a dude, but he's so he's just a good man.
Mhm.
And I appreciate that so much that I know that if something bad were to happen and I went to him or that he would come to me like, "Hey, we need help. I'm down. Freaking deputize me. Let's go." And he knows that, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, and also on the other end of it, let's say you've got some out of control somebody in government in your who
Sure.
enforces that?
Yeah.
You know, when
What
you're supposed to be
recourses are
arrested
when you're
because you didn't mow your lawn or whatever. Um,
wild. Yeah.
yeah, like who enforces that? And if you know your sheriff and he knows you, he's not gonna come over to your house and cuff you because your lawn is 2 inches too long.
Yeah. He's gonna come over and have a conversation maybe and say, "Hey, you really need to take care of that, bro." You know,
Yeah. Or, "Hey, we need to get these
or we need to
creeps
get
out of
these other guys
government."
out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. "How are we gonna do this?"
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, knowing your sheriff. I put GSD crew, and you asked me what that meant. I'm gonna be, podcast friendly because we like to try to be family friendly here.
There you go.
It's get stuff done crew, and there's another word for the S. But the idea is it's kinda like a modern day, Amish barn raising idea
Sure.
where your community gets together and you may have a need, or it might just be you want to get something done. It doesn't have to be, I'm in dire straits, please come help me.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point.
Um,
Yes.
so,
Th This
oh,
could be a day-to-day life kind of a thing where like, "Hey, we're harvesting. We've got too much stuff. We're not gonna be able to harvest before it goes bad. Come on over."
yeah. Or another one was my neighbor. He didn't take me up on it, unfortunately, but we came to an agreement. But he had 20 acres of fencing that he
Okay.
needed weeds taken off of.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, "You know what? I've put a lot of time into my local GST crew. I've never asked for anything back. You know, I'd be happy to have them over. We'll
Mm.
clear your fence, right? We'll help you out. No, nothing
Yeah.
expected in return.
Yeah, right.
Please, please don't spray down the fence line between me and you with 2,4-D or glyphosate, right?"
Yeah. Yes, please.
Um, he didn't take me up on it, but that's something that a GSD crew could do because to me it's worth it. That capital that I've accrued from my time in is worth spending on one, helping my neighbor, and two, making the land around me more productive, more healthy.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and it wasn't an emergency situation, but you can trade for things like that and you can help each other out in these get stuff done crews or barn raisings or whatever you want to call
Right.
them. Many hands make light work, and things that
Yes.
might not get done for years if you're doing it yourself because you just can't keep up could be done in a day.
Yeah, yeah, it was like it's around to it is what I say. It's like I'll get around to it. I really won't because there's always other things and it's too big of a project maybe. My church actually, we have something I was telling you about. We call it the Hands and Feet Ministry.
Mhm.
And basically it's just a giant text string where if somebody needs something done, they just jump in on the group chat and say, "Hey, we have a need, this so and so, she needs her yard taken care of, she can't get out and mow anymore. Done. Let's go."
Right. Yep.
And we get to be the hands and feet, right, in our community, and it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so another one I put on the list was shop with people who don't hate you and your way of life.
I like that. That one there.
So you might walk into Walmart, and I shop there still. I'm not trying to say don't ever buy anything there, but realize that there may be friendly people behind the cash register there if they still exist. Or that, there might be good people who run the store, but the corporation itself wants to shut down people like Jared. It wants to shut down,
Yes.
it wants to take over, and you're enabling that by shopping there.
Yeah, just like we pointed out with the government. Yes, there are Thomas Masseys. There are great, amazing people within the government that don't hate you in the way of life that you've chosen. Same thing. I'm sure there are some. I've known some nice people who work for or have worked for Amazon. That doesn't mean that Amazon doesn't hate us and our way of life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and you look at people started doing some of the financial tracking on who's funding a lot of these the giant riots and protests and things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it goes back to the progenitors of Walmart, other people who have other interests financially in it, and honestly, they hate your way of life. They don't like you. The carbon they wanna eliminate is you, right? So,
Oh, oh, ouch. But
yeah.
yes,
So, just recognize that, and that to me ties to my next point, which was know your local shop owners,
that's
you know?
me. Hi.
Yeah, whether that's Jared or, people at West Side or John over at the
Yeah,
storehouse or,
right.
um, Sherry Stickler at Synergy Herbal Works. Get
Yes.
to know these people, right? Because they're gonna have wisdom and knowledge in crevices of minutia that you never imagined.
And they know people.
Mhm,
Like, like we are this weird, meshed network of people, and so I may not know it, but I do know a guy.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. Or, you walk into Jared's shop and he would know that this little flashlight, which seems okay, is actually a complete piece of garbage compared to something else that's sitting on his shelf. Um, and like it works great for yeah, exactly. You've got was that a Streamlight?
Streamlight, yeah.
Yep.
Same
Yeah.
thing, just a little bit
Yeah.
nicer,
More reliable, right?
more reliable,
Because
and
this
that's the
thing,
trade-off. It's
yep.
that one's cheaper. This one's definitely not as cheap, but I have beat the snot out of this thing, and it doesn't care.
Yeah. So this is not a good EDC flashlight.
Right?
It's a good give it to my kids and let them learn responsibility flashlight.
Because it will
'Cause I
break.
get 4 of them for $14 and
Right.
they're actually decent, but you'll notice on the back here, there's supposed to be a button.
Oh, that's gone.
Just regular use fell out, right? Or this clip,
Button.
regular use breaks and goes away. Not on a
Yeah.
Streamlight. Yeah,
I've used this thing. I've carried this every day for several years, 3 years, 3 years.
yeah.
And I mean, there's some, let me see, some wear around the crown. Um, it doesn't, yeah, it still works just
It's
fine.
gonna affect resale value.
I know.
But the point being, go get to know Jared, go get to know, Sherry or whoever else, because these people who are local experts in what they do are going to have the things you need. They're going to have the knowledge you need, and they're going to have the connections you need. Um, an example is my nephew reached out to me. He said, "Where can I find a chicken plucker?" And I'm
Ah,
standing in my backyard, so I turn around, take a picture. I'm
right,
like,
right
"Come get
here.
it." He didn't know, but he knew I'd know, and
Sure.
it just happened that I have one on my
That's
property.
funny.
Yeah. But always be looking for those opportunities. Always be thinking about ways you can disconnect just a little bit more each day. And people like Jared, people like myself, we're gonna have contact with people who can maybe be the solution, even if we're not. And we
Absolutely.
want to connect you with them.
Mhm. Well, and one of the things that I really enjoyed doing, I mean, because I like asking people questions, I want to know what's going on in their life, is I like figuring out what their thing is.
Hmm.
Because everybody's got a thing. Everybody's, ridiculously good at something, right? There's always those little whatevers, and they can be random. Um, but it's really, I think that people have a hard time seeing their own value. And I love figuring those things out and telling them like, dude, that's so cool. You have no idea how much of a problem that is for so many people. They don't know that or they can't do that. That's a good resource to this community. You are a good resource to this community in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking with my wife, Megan, 'cause we both have wives named Megan,
Yep.
about this. We used to live in Minnesota in like one of the wealthiest areas where like some of the most of or many of the Fortune 500 companies are. So very, very affluent.
Yeah.
We weren't, but we lived there. And something we realized was every time a guy would ask me, like, what do you do for work? It
Oh,
was
yeah,
sizing me up, right?
sure.
But I do that all the time because I'm genuinely interested
Yeah.
in what somebody's background is, what they're interested. It's like it's the first asking, "What do you do for work?" to me, or "What do you like? What do you like? What are your hobbies?" is that first step to figuring out what their little superpower is.
Right.
So, and how can I, just today I was talking with somebody who's, I asked a few questions and figured out that um he and his wife remodeled a couple century old house just across the way from us. I was
Oh,
doing a
wow.
home inspection for him somewhere else, and he's like,
That's
like, it's in my backyard. It's the other historic homestead in the area. So we got to sit and talk about that for a while. But
oh.
he has the superpower of he's really, really good at like local SEO and
Oh.
a few
Oh.
other website things. And so I got to pick his brain about that and like learn about, I got to see pictures of this other homestead in my area that got restored by him and his wife and 20 years ago. And so just asking these little questions and having genuine curiosity in what other people's superpowers are and what their
Right.
interests are goes so far in learning, but then
Mhm.
also building relationships. I bet you a year from now, I could call him and go, "Hey, I'm the guy who did your home inspection.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was wondering about," because he was telling me about this apple orchard, 200-year-old apple orchard at the top of
Ooh,
the hill just down the road from me that I never knew about.
awesome.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
So, yeah, ask people and try to figure out what their superpowers are,
Oh, yeah.
what they do, what they make, what they like. And you may find somebody who's an ally in creating another little piece of this parallel economy.
Mm, and don't undervalue yourself and what you have to contribute.
Mhm. Yep. One of the things I do consistently is I look at, what I've got laying around because 'cause I'm a little bit of a pack rat, um, or, bulimic hoarder, um, because
Oh, gosh.
I clear out periodically, right? I
Yeah,
look at
right?
what I haven't used in the last couple of years, and I'm like, "I probably don't need that anymore." But I start to think about what do I have that has value to trade? And I'm
Oh, yeah.
constantly thinking about that.
Sure.
So instead of, I think most people think, the only thing you can really do with it is sell it. Well, no, you could trade it, especially if you've got a group of people and you've kind of have this awareness that, oh, I've got this one generator that I've never used because it's not appropriate for my application.
Sure.
I've kept it, well oiled or whatever, and I
Mhm.
know it works. Well, if I hear somebody else in one of these group meetings say, I really need a generator,
Hey.
maybe that one works. And maybe
Yeah.
instead of them giving me dollars, they can give me silver or they could give me, what do they have? Maybe they've got raw milk and I can get raw milk for a year or something like that.
Right. Right.
That I think that's the other cool thing about barter is that you can barter for things that might not otherwise be considered acceptable.
Hmm.
Like I can't pay with a credit card. Well, like in certain circumstances I can, but if I want to just go and buy raw milk, I
Oh,
can't
yes.
go and pay with a credit card, right?
Sure.
But if I trade a generator for a year of raw milk or whatever, half a year or whatever, who's going to be the wiser,
Right.
right? This is between you, me, and the fence post.
That's right.
Like
Yes.
nobody, even if somebody figured it out, probably nobody's ever going to do anything about it, right? So barter can be this way of skirting around some of these systems of control beyond
Mhm.
just, you know, divorcing yourself from it. You're also maybe doing something that is kind of in a gray area where when you start using credit cards, you're going to get shut down or,
Yeah. Right.
get a knock at the door. But if you're trading one thing for another and maybe both of them are gifts and they just happen to be of equal value,
Yep.
you're avoiding that.
We'll call it a form of social protest.
Sure. I mean, a farmer can give me raw milk
Yes.
without a herd share. They just
Yep.
can't sell it to me.
Sell it. Right.
Yep. So if they give me some raw milk just out of niceness and I give them a generator just out of niceness,
You're just a nice guy. Yes.
yeah, I'm a nice guy. He's a nice guy. We're all nice guys.
Just taking care of each other.
Right. Um, so yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on how to, step out of the system or things that you can do to work towards that?
I mean, really, we've covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
I wanted to pop this one up real quick. You're not. I mean, yes, you're not local, but you're part of our community, and so you are a resource. I mean, you may not physically be able to come into my shop, but you still you still interact. You still, like and share a bunch of my posts, and you ask good questions, and you have great contributions. If you're not, oh, for everybody else, if you're not on the Discord server, oh shoot, I don't have the link. I'll post it on the show notes. Um, we've there's not a lot of content on the server yet, but Vic sent out a list of a whole bunch of chemicals that are like shelf stable and useful for various aspects. And it's a full like spreadsheet. It's awesome.
Like
So
baking
we're
soda and things?
stuff like, yeah,
Citric
exactly.
acid and that, okay,
And
cool.
yeah, and so, like, yeah, get on the Discord, because we can have a kind of more of a running conversation on there, and I've got it broken up into different kind of like chat rooms where they have different topics, um, and so we can continue having, being a resource to each other. Yes, you're not in Tennessee anymore, but you're still part of this community, and that's awesome.
Yeah. In some ways, local is important because you need to actually be able to access the resources, but local in one sense, local just means small, accessible,
Sure.
right? Because I could call Vic or Vic could call me and we could talk about something because we have that interpersonal relationship to be able to do that, where we know
Right.
who each other are and trust each other, at least to the extent that we do. And so, it's not necessarily about how close you are, depending
Mm,
on what the thing that's needed is.
right.
And that comes back to um, something like a cryptocurrency where I'm not going to get too much into the details, but I know some people who have had, a friend who's had their bank account temporarily seized
Oh,
or
right.
locked or whatever they call it. Um, and was trying to fight a battle against basically illegitimate uh,
Mm,
tax liens or something along those lines,
right.
and they locked his bank account, so he had no means of paying a lawyer.
Oh,
And if anybody sent him money, it would be right. He can't open a new one. So using cryptocurrency and having that connection, and they were other
nice.
side of the country, right? Um,
Didn't matter. Yeah.
didn't matter. So now he
Yeah.
had a means of using, community with cryptocurrency equals he was able to fight the charges and win,
Awesome.
whereas he couldn't have with the means of control that they had. So, yeah, some of these things they've got their use cases, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
I had written down, and maybe you can
Mm,
dig into this a little or give me your thoughts, but I don't think that parallel economies need to be you can always work towards a higher percentage, but I think of it as a percentage. And, you know, 10% of my economic activity being kind of outside of this control grid
mm.
is a huge difference.
That
20% is massive.
would be, yes, that would be that would be very considerable.
Yeah. And my thought is, if I'm 20% outside of the system, buying from local people that I know,
Yeah.
if things really go badly, or, even if I just hit a place of financial hardship,
Right.
I still have access to things.
Yes.
I might have a farmer who's willing to go, "You know what? I've got some excess. You can have a little bit for now. Get your family
Yeah.
through. I
I'll
know you."
float you for, yeah, exactly.
Right. Um, or whatever, but just it only takes a little bit to do so much better. Or you look at Venezuela or wherever else, these places in collapse
Yes.
or that have gone through collapse. The people who had even a small amount of production of their own did so much better because usually the government, whatever's available, it's like they'll provide 80% of what you need not to starve. And if you had that extra 20, you don't starve,
Right.
right? Um, or maybe you can ramp that up quickly, but that, even producing 1% of your own vegetables gives you the skills to ramp that up and produce a ton more.
Well,
next
yeah,
year if you
and
need to.
that's a really good economies of scale. So if you learn how to supplement your own, let's say, with a garden, 1%. If you can supplement 1%, it does not take twice as much effort to supplement 2%.
Mhm.
And so
Yep.
you can bump that up incrementally by a lot from the effort side. So if you doubled your effort, your yield is going to be substantially more than that double.
Yep.
Um, and so that's what we keep talking about, kind of, like just start, just, whether it's an herb garden or something that will give you the confidence, that will give you the knowledge and experience that you can then go into, hey, I think I can do this. I'm gonna try wheat, whatever.
Mhm.
Do it. Just try. The best time
Or
to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
right. Or, let's say water. Let's say you've got a place where all you have is city water, and maybe you've
Yeah.
got chickens, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, "Well, I could capture water in an IBC and make sure that my chickens are being watered that way.
Mhm.
And in a true emergency, I could
I have water.
pull out a Life Straw or a Berkey
Right.
and filter my IBC water that was intended for my chickens. And even if I'm not gonna take showers with it, at least I'll stay alive with some type of water."
Yep.
Just little thoughts like that where that's not that's 1%, I consider that like a less than 1%, a fraction of a percent of out of the system, right? But
Mhm.
it gives you something to springboard from if from a preparedness standpoint,
Right.
where everybody around you is going to suffer way more than you because you had this one little thing in place.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and I prefer that over stockpiling
Mhm.
every day of the week and
Yep.
twice on Sunday. Like, if you stockpiled a whole bunch of stuff, awesome. It kind of goes back to your generator, example. You'll be fine for, until it runs out. And then what? Now you're basically just in the same bind as everybody was, a month ago. So you got that extra month. Woohoo.
Right.
You're still hosed. Um,
Right.
Whereas building infrastructure, building support systems, building community, those don't just end.
Mhm.
They continue on. They continue to bear fruit.
Right. Yeah, and thinking about things just a little bit differently. So this is a sidebar, but something I've been thinking about for a while, and I might actually pull the trigger on soon
Ooh.
is so we've talked about critical infrastructure solar, so you can keep
Mhm.
say freezers, refrigerator, fans, and lights going.
Right.
Well, what if you so you want to store what you eat and eat what you store. You don't want to store a whole bunch of stuff you're never going to eat unless the
Sure.
apocalypse comes. But I don't like I'm not gonna store MREs, I'm not gonna store rice and beans unless they're, like, to give to somebody who comes begging for food, right? I'm
Sure.
just not gonna eat 'em. I've It doesn't do you any
You can
good.
only season it a couple ways, and it gets real boring real fast.
Well, and your body starts to fall
Yeah.
apart because there's no nutritional value, right?
Yeah.
So and then I realized a lot of times after Thanksgiving, I'll see turkeys on sale for, like, 13 cents a pound,
Oh, super
like,
cheap. Yeah.
absurd,
Yeah.
and there'll be tons of them. And so I was thinking, well, if I just invested in another freezer, what if I have a small freezer
And just
and
fill
I
it with turkey.
literally fill it with turkey? It's on solar, so if power goes out, we're
Oh,
fine. I've got a generator, so
right.
again, if power goes out and solar doesn't work, I'm fine. And after a year, I start thawing them out and giving them to my dog. I'm
Oh,
literally buying
oh,
dog food for less than what dog food costs, that's higher quality than the dog food, that if something really goes bad, I've got months of stored food
you're not wrong.
that's not costing me anything because it's running on solar. So, other than the initial investment of a chest freezer,
Now I'm thinking, yeah, yeah, right.
right? Um, so anyways, kind of an aside, but I was like, it's way better than rice and beans.
Yeah.
And I in normal circumstances, I'm not going to eat Tyson chicken or Tyson turkey,
Right.
but a butterball is way better than rice. So,
Yep.
anyways, just little things like that can go a long ways in,
Oh, yeah.
you know sorry, go ahead.
No, I was thinking about overhead. anything you can do to reduce your overhead. So if you're offsetting your dog food costs,
Mhm.
you're reducing your overhead. Well, now you don't need to make as much money, which means you don't have to do as many of the traditional dollar type jobs, and you can do more of the not dollar type jobs.
Yep.
That's awesome. So
Yep.
you're removing yourself even that for much further out of the system, and still maintaining life, and your dog's probably going to be better for it.
Right. Well, and think of it this way as well. From a completely legal standpoint, if I'm legally reducing my income by
Mhm.
doing things like this, and now I'm able to spend more time in my garden, more time with, taking care of my chickens, more time raising
Yes,
my own meat, it starts to
yes,
actually
and
snowball.
it's an exponential ra yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Not only that, but I'm legally avoiding taxes. And
Yes, you're
because
reducing your taxable income. Uh-huh.
I'm reducing my taxable income. And when you do that with a big enough family, you basically end up with no taxable income. So it's totally legal. It's totally
Oh,
viable.
yeah.
There's nothing wrong, nothing illegal or immoral about what I'm talking about.
Nope.
And so when you hit that, like I was saying, 20% outside of the system, you can start stacking these things and looking for those opportunities. And rather than thinking about how much money am I going to make per hour, you might start thinking about how much money am I going to save per hour?
Yeah, how much time
How,
am I gonna free up per
yeah.
hour? Yeah, right?
And then how much better is my health going to be down the road now that I've stopped working so hard and started enjoying my own property, walking
Yep,
around taking care of my own chickens barefoot, improving my health because I'm eating better, I'm living better, I'm less stressed. Um, there's less things over my head.
correct.
Um, I'm more connected with the natural world. I'm able to start planting out orchards and other food systems that further reduce that bill, and I can keep whittling away at it, as
Yep,
opposed to, uh, am I going to get the cola increase that I need, cost of living increase
right.
to make it through next year when my cost of living is 10% more, but I'm being told I don't get a raise this year because the company's not making money.
Yeah, right. Yeah, been
So
there.
yeah. Yep. So anyways, just a different way of thinking. And the more you can do that, it actually frees other people now because now maybe you're producing something that they can buy that gets them a
Right.
little bit off. Or
Yep,
maybe in my case, I'm teaching classes that helps other people start to or doing this podcast. So now I have a little bit of time to do
yep,
these things that help other people start stepping off of that system. And it becomes
exactly.
this increased strength of, spider web,
Mhm.
where when everybody's thinking this way and making little incremental changes becomes huge over time.
Yeah, what was a snowball effect in your personal life becomes a snowball effect in the community.
Yeah. It's compounding interest
It is
on
of the best
on
kind.
right. And we didn't really get into it. I don't think I laid it all out, but in my notes, because we made separate notes, um, Bill Mollison, the one of the co-founders of permaculture, actually put together his 8 forms of capital.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah, I saw
so,
that.
I'm just gonna read a few of them off, and we don't really have time to discuss them all, but, things like living cat sorry, natural capital, living or biological capital, human capital, social capital, built capital or infrastructure,
Mm,
financial capital, investable capital, so that'd be like ethical or cultural, and energy capital.
mm,
So, when we think of capital, we tend to think of dollars.
yeah, because everything's been reduced to dollars in our
Right.
lives. Yeah.
But energy capital there's parts of that that are free.
Oh, yeah.
The rain is essentially a giant solar powered water pump.
It is. It
And
moves
so
water from down here to up there, and it comes
right.
back down again.
And if we can capture the water up
Up
here,
here, yeah. Now
we
it's
now
useful.
have now we have energy capital.
Yeah, we have
And so
pressure, we have, yeah, irrigation, we have, yeah, distribution, all of it.
mhm. Yep. So when we start to think about these, just I'm planting little permaculture seeds here. When we start to think
Okay.
about capital broken down in this way, as opposed to, and we could go through and do whole episodes, and we're not going to. Don't worry, people. We could do whole episodes on each type of capital and then some,
Oh yeah.
because these, you know, living or biological capital, when we think about how much we need soil biology, how much we need gut biology, when who we are is cell count wise more
More
other than
other
us,
than yeah.
um, it starts to make sense how this biological capital is crucial. You know, putting some biochar in your soil. I'm thinking of this because I was just crushing biochar for my chickens to
Oh
put in
nice.
their
Yeah.
feed.
Sure.
Um, well, it's just char. They're going to make it into
They're
biochar
gonna make it
for me,
bio. Yeah.
and how that benefits my chickens, it benefits my soil, which then benefits me, which then benefits my chickens, and then benefits my you know,
And
it
the cycle
grows and grows and
continues.
grows.
Yes.
Yep, and that's biological capital, but we never think of that. You know, we never factor that into the equation, and all these things should actually be, you know, not you go crazy woo woo new age, right?
No. No,
But
we're investing in our own infrastructure.
mhm,
Why wouldn't
yeah,
we?
exactly. And in investing in our own infrastructure, we start investing in others because, you know, there's a mutual benefit between
Yeah,
us and other people.
yeah, because that they are actually a part of our infrastructure. I mean, everything is intrinsically connected. Not from a new agey, no, we actually are. I
Yeah.
exhale, plants inhale, they exhale, you inhale. Like we
Mhm.
are connected.
Yeah, absolutely. And even on a electrical scale, you know,
Yeah.
there's a
Charges are charges. They
mhm.
interact and they yeah.
Well, and even the weirdest of the weird hippies who are talking about vibes, it's like you've got an element
Right?
that's right, right? Like
Mhm.
when scientists have gone down into, you know, subatomic structures, what it appears like is holding the universe together is what basically looks like a combination of light and sound, right? So this
Vibration
vibes
and
thing,
yeah,
right? It's not entirely wrong how you interpret that and how you look at
sure.
that,
Yeah, the inference that they take from it and where they go with it may not be, but the idea is still valid.
right? Well, just from a Christian standpoint, think about it. Like, how did the world come to be according to Genesis? It was God spoke, let
Mhm.
there be light.
Yeah.
Audio, you know, the
Oh,
sound
smoke
waves,
and light, yeah.
light. So,
Right.
you know, go figure. And that's what you end up essentially seeing at the, you know, subatomic particle level, or at least what scientists think they're seeing. Who knows for sure?
Sure.
So, any other interesting comments?
That's what I was just looking at. So, Market Theory posted this one. This is an interesting I mean, so depending so I think mass producing soil blocks is a great source of energy wealth. I'd like to be able to produce so many natives and vegetable blocks to sustain lots of people. It is an interesting idea. I mean,
Mhm.
that I mean, that's like, a garden supply on steroids, like having
Uh,
a soil block.
I will give away a secret idea that I had because I've
Ooh,
not implemented it.
ha,
But
love it.
but what I'd love to see is this all over the place. But it's along that line. Market theory.
Okay.
I wonder if we know you. Um, so the idea is you do something like that where you're creating that soil diversity. You can make essentially really high quality compost where only a small amount of it is needed to be added into a much larger garden to get that diversity going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
So it's a little bit different than what's being talked about here, but you could combine or marry these, right? So let's say you're raising chickens and you raise a breed like breast chickens, which are an absolute incredible, like the males, they're the highest quality chicken meat you can get. So you could make an entire business out of raising breast chickens to sell to restaurants at, you
Mm,
know, very high end restaurants.
yeah.
So maybe you do that and you raise the males, the uh, roosters out to be sold to high end restaurants, and then you raise the females out because they're actually good egg layers as well.
Oh.
And
Okay.
so, and you keep, out of these, you keep one male or one rooster, and maybe you exchange roosters with somebody periodically.
Sure.
And so these egg laying chickens, you've got all these egg laying chickens, plus you've already got a revenue source to essentially cover their cost.
Hmm.
And as you're raising them out, you can have them turning over a combination of wood chips and like scraps from restaurants.
Oh,
So
okay.
work with
Yeah.
a local restaurant to get scraps, and you
Sure.
get wood chips for free. So you're getting these two free inputs that primarily feed the chickens. You want to give them a little bit more, but mostly are going to feed the chickens. So you can raise up these chickens for almost nothing, sell the roosters at a really nice profit,
Right.
keep some of the hens for eggs and continue to produce eggs for almost nothing.
Okay.
Sell some of the hens right when they start producing at 30-35 bucks a piece, because
They're a good
chickens that are
layer
just
and
starting
yeah.
to lay are worth 30 to 35 a piece.
Yep.
And now you take all of that, basically the chickens are turning the
The turn
turning
soil,
the
yeah.
the soil, the wood chips, pooping in it. That poop or nitrogen is combining with the wood chips, breaking
Uh-huh.
down into incredible high organic matter soil with a lot of biological life in it. Take all of that once a year, put it into what's called the Johnson Sioux bioreactor. So these giant compost systems.
Yeah.
Those take about a year to break down, but when they do, they produce the best compost you will ever see,
Ooh.
especially with the kind of inputs we're talking about. And
Right.
let's say you have just a little bit of property. So now, and you've got the wood chips. So now you mix the chicken manure almost compost with wood chips, and maybe you're mowing your field and sweeping all that grass in. So
Sure.
you've got your carbon nitrogen mixes, and you put all of that together in a Johnson C bioreactor, let it react down. Now you can sell bags, like basically coffee bag sized bags of compost,
Yeah.
either to add to your garden
Okay.
or to use as compost tea. And you put instructions,
Mm.
maybe you send it with, like cheesecloth or something for it to be
Yeah, yeah.
wrapped in. And so now you can make compost tea, which is this crazy biologically active spray for all your plants, plus great nutrients and things. And you can be selling these little coffee bags for 25 to 35 bucks a piece to
Oh,
yuppies in the
man.
city who are,
Oh,
you know, um, then on top of that, you can start, let's say you've got some wood on your property, or you have access to scrap lumber from a local mill or something. You can create biochar from that, add biochar into this whole system, or sell
mm,
biochar by itself, and you can use it in your own system to grow your own things. So now you're significantly net positive on your just financial outlook, but you've also got eggs, you've also got meat, you've also got huge amounts of compost. Um, and I suppose you could mix that with maybe some more simple potting soil and have it as a like ready to grow block, like
sure.
market theory is talking about. Um, So you mix it down and dilute it with a more traditional, um, you know, potting soil, but now it's got life in it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's something I hope to get started in the next couple of years. But
Nice.
yeah, it's you just stack everything together. It's function stacking, like
Yeah,
permaculture is supposed to be.
that's right.
So, anyways, there's an idea for whoever wants to run with it.
Heck yeah. Well, and that sort of
Just
a thing is, that it's not like only one person can do this. No, that's
mhm,
something that every area could support, and yeah, that's useful everywhere. And to market theories, having local plants, the native plants, because my native plants are going to be different than Vic's native plants,
mhm.
because well, he grows rocks, um, and cacti. Um, but every area is going to have different native plants, and so you take your idea and mix it with market theories, and now you
What what
gotcha.
plants?
um
Nice.
now you have all of these different areas who can support that type of a business.
Mhm.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Well, and somebody like Vic could take this model and actually, if he can get wood chips, that is,
Yeah.
could take this model and actually start building soil. So maybe
Yes.
he builds a like a
Yeah.
10 by 20 movable, let's say, carport, like a nice big carport
Yeah,
that he
sure.
fashions for chickens. And he does it in one spot, builds the soil there, leaves it there,
Yep.
moves the thing. Now he's got a garden
Rinse
bed.
and repeat. Yeah.
Yeah, rinse and repeat and keep doing that year after year and actually building soil on the property that maybe he's done remediation so it stays where it stays put.
Yeah, right. Because
Um,
you don't wanna just because he gets like, when it rains, it rains.
mhm.
Um, so, yeah, you don't want it washing away, and so you build up your little rock walls or whatever to retain that, and mhm.
Yep. Well, and if let's say you wanted to stack something on top of this whole thing and build more resiliency for your own self.
Yes.
I know somebody who out of I think it was just one 40-foot Connex or shipping container
Mhm.
was making like $200,000 a year net on microgreens.
I've heard that. That's
Yeah, but
wild.
let's say you've got this whole composting thing that I just said suggested set up.
Yeah.
Well, if you're making microgreens, you go along and you a lot of times for those you'll cut the top.
Mhm.
And so you've got the bottom root, which is super nutrient dense, needs to go
Yes.
somewhere.
Right?
Maybe that now goes to your chickens and you've just added another system to this whole system.
Sure.
Um, the same thing is if you're selling to chefs microgreens like that, maybe you can put another Connex next to it and grow mushrooms.
I was just gonna say that.
Yep.
Yes.
And now your mushrooms can go in your Johnson Su bioreactor and be another part of the fertility in it,
Oh, yeah.
right?
They would
And
love that.
yeah. And so now instead of spreading yourself too thin doing all these different things, you're actually, I'm talking to a chef anyways and delivering microgreens. It's going to be an easy up to sell to go,
It's
hey,
like,
you want
"Oh,
some
yeah, I
blue
have
oysters?
mushrooms." Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right?
You want a lion's mane with that?
"Oh,
So
yes, I do."
yeah, no waste, but yes, just reading through, trying to read through some of these comments,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
but um, yeah, I'm reading too slow and we're going to leave dead air space. You don't want
You're
that.
good, you're good.
You're talking about leaving, being uncomfortable, right?
Yeah,
Earlier.
yeah.
And uh, dead airspace is uncomfortable, which
Oh, yeah.
obviously we don't want to do for viewers, but because we respect your time. But it's one of those things that you have to learn to live with too. I think we see a friend or family member go through something hard, and it's
Mhm.
hard just to sit there with them, right?
That is very true.
Um, it also reminds me of I don't know if I got this from somewhere or if it's something I kind of came up with on my own. Likely I got it from somebody else, but you know the saying, "Religion is the opiate of the masses."
Yeah.
My take on that is that actually comfort is the opiate of the masses.
Mm.
And when we're talking about control grids, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention this. When we're talking about control grids, the true control mechanism in all of it is convenience.
Yep.
And so if you're somebody who refuses to do something because it's slightly uncomfortable, like you will follow that, that interstate. You'll walk that interstate until you keel over. And that's how you're going to live because it takes a little bit of discomfort to go and meet people on site, to meet other weirdos like us
That's right.
at some kind of get together or class or whatever. It's a little bit uncomfortable, at least at first, to show up at something where you don't know anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
'cause,
uncomfortable to go ahead.
it's a function of, like, if I wanted to grow or to change in any way, it only happens when staying the same is more uncomfortable than changing, and so we have to accept that fundamental being uncomfortable in order to shift and be able to do something different and grow.
Right. Yep. And it basically everything that we are addicted to in modern life has to do with, has to do with comfort. All of our addictions in reality come down to escapism, which is comfort, you know,
Yes.
wasting 4 hours a night binging Netflix is a lot more comfortable than, learning the next skill or, you know, hanging out with your kids and teaching them something or
Getting physically fit,
yep,
doing anything that's truly beneficial.
yep, digging a hole in your backyard, whatever you need to do. That's my kind of workout, by the way.
Hey, yeah.
And I don't have a dad bod. It's, oh, forget it. There's a really great joke about I don't have a dad bod, but, I'm uh, it's my, shoot. Oh, I'm a father. I have a father
Father figure?
figure. Yeah, yeah, there we go. That's
There you go.
terrible. The worst delivery in the world. Hey, Regenerative Orchards. This is Tim.
Aw,
So,
what's up,
man, we
bro?
would love to have you here, but we're glad you're here now. We're just rambling at this point.
I know, right? Was there
So,
anything else that we wanna cover?
um, yeah, I think you mentioned this, but
Mm,
I would say start now.
yes.
Do little things now, like planting a tree. Regenerative Orchards, you know about that. He plants trees all over the place. He's just, dude, were you up in Wisconsin just recently? It seems like I saw something with you. So he's out of Camden, or no, I think North Nashville or something like that. But
Okay.
anyways, up in Wisconsin doing stuff. I'm like, that's a long ways to go, but cool.
Yeah.
Um, so
So it's
anyways,
very cool.
yes, start today, just like with planting a tree. Um, skills and relationships take time. So the sooner you start, the better. Yeah, pruning class up in Wisconsin. That's cool, man. Um, and wealth isn't just about money in the bank.
No.
So, actually, I'm going to read this quote from Buckminster Fuller. Dude was
Oh,
super
yeah.
interesting. So, if people don't know who he is like a practical philosopher. I think this quote that I'm going to read from him was actually he embedded it in his patent for the geodesic dome.
Oh, really? Ha!
So
That's funny.
he was the inventor of the geodesic dome,
Mhm.
and in his patent for it, he embedded a quote. I believe this was the one, but I didn't have time to verify that. But the way he defined wealth was this way: wealth is a measure of a person's ability to survive so many days forward. So we think of it oftentimes in bank account, right? Where it's like,
Yeah,
how
sure.
do I have enough money to retire? Do I have, enough
Right.
dollars to get me from here to there?
Which is in keeping with that, it is I can buy my way into
Mhm.
surviving, but there's other ways of of surviving too.
Yeah,
When you have the knowledge, when you have the skills, those are ways of surviving.
absolutely. Yeah, invest in your food 401k today. Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe it's more like a Roth IRA because you don't have to pay taxes on it.
That's right. I like
But
that.
yeah, the idea of wealth and we're the whole thing we're talking about today in reality, if you define wealth that way, it's about wealth.
Mhm.
And true wealth isn't, bank accounts are all great, but how far forward can you live and live a true fulfilling life, um, without, without the alternate inputs that we would normally think of.
Right.
And the more you do that, the more resilient you are. And that's kind of what this podcast is about.
It's on the nose.
Yep. Very on the nose. Well, with that on the nose comment, Jared, do you want to let people know about what you do, where they can find you?
Alrighty, I can do. So I'm Jared Wilson. I own Resilient Living. We are a store in Middle Tennessee, right on 111 between Sparta and Spencer. Or you can find us online at resilientliving.com. So basically, what I do is I sell stuff that helps people to be resilient, whether it be books or emergency preparedness items like freeze-dried foods and emergency shelters, para 550 cord, knives, hiking supplies, because there's a lot of overlap there where I get to draw from campers groups and the overlanding groups and the prepper groups, and I kind of bring it all together in my shop. And so yeah, so we sell all kinds of stuff, and we produce content like the Resilient Living podcast, and hopefully soon to be new content, because I'm going to start doing reviews of the items in my store and other items that I'm researching. So that's
Dude, I am excited for the reviews. I think
we'll see.
that's perfect. No, you can legitimately build a really good following on YouTube that way.
That's
So
the hope.
yeah, I'm excited to see that. So, all right. Well, my name is Ryan Steva. I am the owner, CEO, chief executive, everything of
You're
the
the all the
Homestead
things.
Consultant. Yeah. Um, because it's a small operation. I help people set up homesteads and try to be more resilient, more efficient. My big sales gimmick is, or spiel is, if I can't basically save you or earn you more than what my fee is, I won't work with you, because that's the whole point, is to make sure that when I work with you, you come out the other side more resilient and better off. So that's what I do. Most of my stuff is really just YouTube. I do YouTube videos. You can also find my site, thehomesteadconsultant.com. And one thing that I've included in the show notes here, just because I'd be remiss for not mentioning, is I provided a whole bunch of links if you want to get um, financially literate on uh, how crazy our system actually is. I provided links to videos and audiobooks that are all free from very, very trusted sources, people who cite absolutely everything they have and have source documents for everything they say. So it's not conspiracy theory, it's not hyperbole or anything else. So if you want to learn more about, say, the Fed or the Great Taking, or um, just the general systems of control that we're under, to understand why we're talking about these things so much, those are some really great resources to get started on. So that's about what I got. How about you, Jared?
I think that's pretty much it. I was just trying to grab the link for the Discord server. So
Yeah.
throw that
So
in the chat real quick.
for those who are just joining us,
Yes.
Jared has set up a Discord server, and I'll put that in the show notes as well. So if you're watching this afterwards, it'll be in the show notes for you to
Sweet.
be able to join.
Awesome. So yeah, so on the Discord server, we've just got kind of segmented off into lots of different topics where we can have, good conversations, and we can support each other in our endeavors to become resilient and ungovernable.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Jared, for being with me tonight and taking the
Yeah,
time. Thanks, everybody, for being in the chat. I mean, Rocky
absolutely.
Pines, Regenerative Orchards. You're all
In
very much
theory,
appreciated.
my mom's in there somewhere. Nana Fudge. There she is.
There she is. Yep, on a fudge. So thank you all for being here. Have a good night.
All right, guys.